They finally put the Hornets away in the fourth quarter. Just a dominant fourth quarter performance, which they needed desperately. But you talk about Don. I mean, 8 of 17, 23 points, 3 of 8 from 3. Another guy that gives you 8 dimes, 4 boards, a steal. You feel like Donovan Mitchell, who, by the way, is 6 foot, 215 pounds. What is Buck? 6'5"?
I think 200? He's 6'6".
Nah, I don't think he's 6'6". 6'5", 6'6", fine. But you look at Donovan Mitchell, 27 points in his last 10 games. And you start to look at the way that this team, the Jazz, are built. He's the engine that makes it go. And I know everybody who listens to this show is probably sick and tired of hearing me say it.
Devin Booker is 6'6", 206. So he's lighter, but he's taller.
Okay. Are you sure he's 6'6"?
Some people have him at 6'6", some people have him at 6'5".
Okay, well, there you go. So we're both right.
Yeah.
But you look at the problems for Rudy Gobert last night.
Yeah.
And I don't mean to say this every single show. We'll find a show where we don't have to say it eventually. You look at the problems for Rudy Gobert last night, and they are 100% pace and size. Rudy Gobert has no place in that game last night. Mm-hmm. And when I look at, they scored 132 points last night.
Which is kind of the starting point of the conversation of the people who are going to come into the comments all pissed off saying that Rudy had all those blocks at the end of the game and did a bunch of nice things. And it's like, dude, the Hornets scored 132 points.
No, the Jazz scored 132 points. The Hornets scored 110.
Okay, 110.
You can't give up 64 points or 67 points in the first half if you're the Jazz to the Charlotte Hornets. Rudy Gobert last night, 10 points, 12 boards, 6 blocks.
10 and 12 is a light night for him. I mean, by his standards, that's a light night.
It is a light night. He's usually
a 20 rebound guy. So
the problem is pace and size.
Yeah, and I also think there were several times last night, and this is the first time I've really seen an NBA defense do this to Rudy. Last night it wasn't a lot, but it was in the second quarter coming into the half. Mm-hmm. There were about 4 possessions where the Hornets essentially took 3 guys and essentially just wrapped them around the paint. They were playing man, but they were essentially within that man defense playing a zone on Rudy Gobert. They were saying, "Hey, we're gonna play our man defense, but we're gonna push down to the paint a little bit. We're gonna give the shooters a little more room."
And what were they doing when they were doing that? They were trying to force the ball to Rudy. The Jazz were, and the Hornets were not swiping down. Mm. They were knocking the ball up out of his hands.
Yeah, which is smart.
To avoid the foul. LaMelo did it 2-3 times.
Yeah.
Rudy would get the ball, and you would see LaMelo push the ball up.
Yeah.
And knock it out of his hands. Rudy Gobert and Jazz fans are going to have to, at some point, wrap their heads around this idea that not every game is a good fit for Rudy Gobert, and that when they're winning, he's fine in the fourth quarter. Mm-hmm. There's no problem playing Rudy Gobert. When it's tight or you're trailing, he can't be in the game. Mm-hmm. He can't. And if you want to play that, that stupid defense-offense switch thing
at the end of a game,
it never works.
Yeah.
It never works.
Yeah, because you don't get any transition.
And I am just telling you again, if you look at the teams where the Jazz have either struggled or lost, mm-hmm. Rudy Gobert has been absent for long stretches.
Or exploited.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Or exploited.
And I think that's what we saw in L.A. the other night. And I know, this team's won 50 straight. They lose one, and you hit the panic button. No.
It's not the panic button. Just being real.
We said this during their 86,000 game winning streak, that Rudy Gobert's a good player. He's not a $200 million player. That contract is a mistake. And you're seeing it in the way that this team is built. And if you look at the comments, that we get.
This is very predictable.
Jeremy says, not many play defense in the NBA. The truth was he didn't fit the narrative. He belongs in the NBA. I don't disagree with that.
I agree. He's an NBA caliber
There's
big
no
man.
Doubt
There's
about
no
that.
question. But again, this is the conversation, plain and simple. The Jazz fans want this team to be a championship level team. I think we can all agree with that.
Yeah, everybody does.
But at the same time, you can't want this team to be a championship caliber team, but then accept the fact, or then lie to yourself and essentially accept the fact that you're living in a fantasy land about Rudy Gobert. Like, Rudy Gobert is not going to give you, 20 and 20 against the elite teams. He may get to 20 rebounds. That may happen depending on how the game goes, but he's not going to score 20 points. And that is really the issue.
Patrick says, keep in mind the Clippers played almost perfect defense with PG and Kawhi with fresh legs from load management vacation. While they were both injured, Kawhi was not load managing.
I don't disagree that the Clippers were the fresher team, but let's not make excuses, right?
They only won by 3. Let's see how they fare in a 7-game series. I think the Clippers win a 7-game series. I mean, I think in that series, Rudy Gobert is going to have an awfully difficult time finding a way to impact the game consistently.
Mm-hmm.
All about the memories. Says, I agree with the analysis about the Nets. They will have a hard time sharing the ball. I'm not sure James Harden is the best player on that team, but Rudy should be out at the end of the fourth quarter. There's no doubt about that. It's stubborn to keep him in there.
I would agree with that. Yeah.
Look at you making a comment on what we talked about yesterday.
Yeah, whoever that is, I appreciate that. We did talk about
the Nets are the best team in the NBA right now.
Yeah, I think the Nets are the best team. I think you can make a case that Harden's not the best player, but with the way he's playing right now, he's the hottest player on their team. I really don't think there's any argument against that.
Man, people are pissed about that Clipper game. Gordon says it's ridiculous. If the Jazz would have hit 2 more 3-point shots, you guys would be claiming how awesome they are. We
don't, dude. That just shows you haven't listened to our conversations over the last 2 weeks, right? Last night, 27 3-point makes. Are we sitting here talking about how awesome the Jazz are? No, because they wouldn't have made 27 3-pointers against the Clippers or against a fully healthy Lakers team,
Derek says, you guys are a joke. You put Rudy on any team in the league and he takes them to top 5 defensively. Well, that's true. I don't disagree with that.
We're not talking about top 5 defensive teams, guy. Stop changing the topic. We're talking about what is holding this team back from being a championship-level team.
Yeah.
Simple as that. Find me a team that's got a big on it that doesn't have a jump shot that went to a championship. Find me that team. That is. Find me that team. Find me the team. Honestly, there's not one.
I don't think you can. I don't think you can win in this league anymore. I don't think you can win locking people down defensively. There's too many 3-point shots being taken.
Too many 3-point shots. Guys are coming up with more development in their game, so they're way more skilled when they're a younger player.
But what happens when you shoot a volume of threes?
You're going to live and die on it. And when you don't make the 3, you're going to lose that 4th game in a 7-game series.
And you're going to give up a ton of transition baskets.
Mm-hmm.
And overwhelmingly, teams that shoot a lot of threes tend to turn the ball over more.
And I think the thing for Jazz fans here, and look, I understand why people are upset, right? I get it.
I'm sure. Of course I understand why people are upset.
Thanks, Cancun Cruise. I appreciate you supporting the show here. Listen, I get it. I understand why you guys are all pissed off about this, but at the same time, you can't run from the idea that Rudy not being able to pick and pop hurts the Jazz consistently. Look at the other bigs in the league. And I'm not going to play the whole game where we put Rudy Gobert in some special center position category, and then we're going to put Joel Embiid in a 4 or Anthony Davis in a 4.
Well, just look at DeAndre Ayton.
Okay, great. DeAndre Ayton's a perfect example. Yeah.
DeAndre Ayton has offensive skills.
Mm-hmm.
He has no defensive skills.
Mm-hmm.
But you figure when you're trying to win in this league, you have to score a lot.
Yeah.
Right? So when you have a guy like DeAndre Ayton, you can throw him lobs. You can pick and pop with him because he can make the elbow jumper.
Mm-hmm.
Rudy Gobert
and he can play one-on-one, too.
Yeah, Rudy Gobert, does not play with his back to the basket.
There was a time last night where it was at the end of the game. I believe it was Bogey on the wing who had the ball. It might have been, actually, I think it was Jingles who had the ball on the left wing, right?
That'd be Joe Ingles.
Yeah, that's Joe Ingles. Okay, sorry, I'm just picking up on what the broadcast does, so I'm just trying to be in the cool kids club here. Listen, Jingles is on the wing. He has the ball. Rudy's posting up a smaller guy. Does Rudy get the ball? Nope. Rudy doesn't get the ball. He's been rejected the ball. Come set a screen for me. That's how they play.
They're not going to throw him the ball in the post.
No.
I don't believe they have an offensive set to throw him the ball in the post. I mean, why would you?
By the way, all this is fixed if he would just develop a little bit of a jump shot. I'm not saying that you gotta shoot 80%.
They don't
from the field,
need him
dude.
to shoot. They need him to shoot an elbow jumper. That's it. But that's not who he is. So they paid him $200 million knowing that. And now they're going to have to kind of suck it on that contract for a minute. Because I don't see how you get around that. All right. I mean, there's a lot. I'll read a few more comments. Mikey comments in just about all of our YouTube videos, so we appreciate that.
Yeah, I appreciate that very much.
Mikey says, take off the purple and gold glasses, Monty. LeBron is not even on Don's level.
Okay.
I'm just going to gloss over that.
Okay.
Jazz are better than the Clippers, Lakers, and the Nuggets. There's nobody in the West who can beat them in a 7-game protracted series. They're too physical.
What the hell is a 7-game protracted series?
A long
mean, dude?
series, like a long, drawn-out series. Because they're too physical and they make too many back-breaking threes. I agree that the Jazz have a propensity to shoot threes and make threes that just piss you off.
Of course, that's who they are.
I mean, yeah.
But here's the thing, and this is where I think Jazz fans who don't watch every single night, but they watch like every other game, this is what they miss. Because we watch every single game. I can tell you, I turned that game on 12 minutes into the fourth quarter, right? There were 12 minutes left in the first quarter. Like, that's where the game starts, essentially, right? Mm-hmm. So, like, when you watch every single game, what you come to understand is that the Clipper game, the reason they didn't win that Clipper game is not because they didn't make 2 more threes. The reason they lose the Clipper game is because Kawhi Leonard picked up 3 offensive rebounds against Rudy Gobert late in the game that essentially allowed the Clippers to run out the clock.
Correct.
That's why they lost the game. And so when I'm paying a guy $200 million to be in the paint and keep Kawhi Leonard and his long-ass hands and his big-ass hands off the ball, no, I'm not going to say it. No, it's not my line. It's your line. I'm not saying it. No.
You will call him dick fingers.
No, I'm not doing it.
Yes, you will.
No.
I started having second thoughts.
Yeah, I can't do that, man.
Kawhi Leonard has very vascular fingers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Anyway, penis jokes are funny. The point is, yeah, we watch too much Jazz basketball. We watch too much NBA basketball. My wife hates it. But this will be an ongoing discussion. The Jazz are one of the best teams in the NBA right now. I think the Brooklyn Nets are the best team in the NBA.
Yeah.
Last week it was the Jazz.
Mm-hmm.
This week it's not.
Mm-hmm.
The Clippers, I think, shook their confidence a little bit. And it took them 3 quarters against the Hornets to get out of that.
Yeah.
So we'll see. Make sure you hit subscribe on our good old YouTube channel there.
New videos.
The Monty Show, Monty, The Monty Show. Just plug it into Google. Everything comes up.
Do it.
Or search YouTube for The Monty Show, Monty, The Monty Show.